Thank you. And Ms. Jessamy, this next question will kind of allow you to rebuttal in the midst of the question, and answer this question. And then the same question will be asked of you, Mr. Bernstein. In the past, there's been a public scrutiny, there have been public scrutiny about the State's Attorney's Office regarding the strained relationship with the Baltimore City Police Department. What do you see currently as the issues that contribute to this perceived or real strained relationship between the State's Attorney's Office and the Baltimore City Police Department? And finally, what would you do to improve the reality of this relationship or the perception of a strained relationship between the two very significant and important agencies?
I think I really want to go back a little bit to talk about how that whole thing began in terms of the strained relationship, because I think it was really a work of the media. Media likes controversy, it really sells. It really started when, and I know most people in this room will remember that, when the police commissioner, Frazier, recommended rotation of homicide detectives. And I had talked to Commissioner Frazier in reference to that decision, and I talked to then Mayor Schmoke. I was called one day and asked by a reporter what I thought about the decision, and I was truthful in terms of my opinion. I thought it would decimate the police department, and that it should not be done. From that point on, there was the State's Attorney's Office is at loggerheads. I think that was a term that was used in the media with the police department. I was not at loggerheads. I was attempting to inform the community of what I felt would happen if this decision had been put into place. I have had the pleasure of working with 7 police commissioners. We've done a great job. Even though the population in Baltimore City has declined by 9%, crime has declined by 59%. That is a fact. And the rank and file, notwithstanding what happens with the commissioner and myself, the rank and file are working together very, very well. They are getting things done. They're working together when it comes to training, because we are training police officers. We have given hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours for training. We are also working, when we see things that we can shore up, we work very closely with the police department in terms of that. One recent example is the robbery issue. We go to Gunstat, we help create Gunstat, we help create the gun offender registry. I remember getting a call that person who was responsible, one individual, for doing gunshot residue analysis was going out on sick leave. And I decided that we needed to work cooperatively with the police department, and rather than applying for grants, every law enforcement agency, we needed to support the police department's application to get a new gunshot residue machine and people trained to use it. And we got like $600,000 from the government, and I wrote the grant for that. We have an overtime commission working. I work to get to reduce overtime with the police department by getting a liaison, by working to do an indictment effort at circuit court so that officers would not have to show up in the district court to testify. We're working very well together. And when you hear, I thought really that this commissioner and I were working very well together until very recently. So I guess I was naive. I thought that.
So you would argue that it's more perception than reality?
I think there is some reality, but I think it is more perception, and it's more a making of the media than in actual fact.
Mr. Bernstein, how do you respond to the same question? You need me to repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Well, look, what I would say is I don't respectfully, I don't think it's a function of being naive. I think it's a function of Ms. Jessamy just not being aware of reality and what's happening on the ground. And I'm not really talking about what may have happened 12, 13, 14 years ago. But I mean, there is case after case after case, and you all know what I'm talking about, where the state's attorney's spokesperson goes in front of the TV cameras and says, not our fault, the police didn't do a good enough job. The Stephen Picarin case, the poor young man that was murdered in Charles Village, the next day the state's attorney's spokesperson was on the radio saying that the reason why Mr. Wagner, the suspect in that case, was out on probation was because he had been convicted of a robbery case, and the police do a lousy job in robbery cases. Now, to me, that is not working cooperatively. To me, issuing bench warrants for police officers who do not appear in court to testify is not working cooperatively, which of course you all know is something that recently happened. Now, I will give the state's attorney's office the benefit of the doubt. I don't think the facts support this, but I will give the state's attorney's office the benefit of the doubt, and I will say that that police officer in that particular case got the summons. And I'll say that that police officer knew she was supposed to be in court. And I'll say that that police officer, just for whatever reason, there wasn't a good one, decided not to come. Again, I don't accept any of those facts, but for purposes of argument, I will say that. But you do not, it seems to me, as a state's attorney, ask a judge to issue a body attachment to go out and get a police officer, bring the officer to central booking, and make that officer spend the night in central booking. That is not working cooperatively. Now, Ms. Jessamy talks about all the training that apparently is going on. You all are the officers. I'll let you all be the judge. You know better than me. You certainly know better than Ms. Jessamy how much training you're really getting and whether the state's attorneys are coming in there and doing the training. From what I hear and what I know, it's not happening. And I think that that is a crucial point that needs to be made and is a crucial issue for me as state's attorney to make sure that you have the best possible training, not in terms of carrying out your duties as officers, because you get that training, but to how you're going to be in the courtroom, how you're going to present your testimony, how you're going to prepare your reports. How about setting up a system where we bring in former federal agents from the FBI, from the IRS, from DEA, who are experienced in testifying cases? How about if we bring them in, conduct training seminars for you to help you learn how to prepare reports, how to testify better? How about bringing in former state's attorneys or federal prosecutors to come in and help you do these things? These are the kinds of things that I'm talking about. But to suggest that there has been a cooperative or collaborative relationship with the rank and file, I would submit respectfully, is just completely belied by the facts. And furthermore, to say that you've had a cooperative relationship with past police commissioners is belied by the facts. We know prior commissioners before the present commissioner who have had to write letters to the state's attorney saying, why are you belittling me and my members in public? And again, this is all in the public record. I'm not making this stuff up. And to me, that just does not work. I think it is central to not engage in the blame game. I think it is essential to do joint training with state's attorneys and with police officers to make them effective so that we can continue to fight crime in an effective way, stop this revolving door, and get the most violent offenders off the street.
Ms. Jessamy, 1 minute rebuttal.
Yes, I have here an email from a commander of the district, and I won't call his name, but he's writing to commend us and to thank us for the partnership. He's writing about a program that we have, community coordinators program. We have one for each of the 9 police districts, and they work hand in hand with the district commanders and the community. And he outlines in this letter how well that whole process works, because it is working. Now, I do want to respond to the bench warrant and failure to appear on the part of police officers. I had asked my staff to begin to collect data in reference to police FTA, because we can't prosecute certain cases if we don't have witnesses. We demand that our civilian witnesses show up in court to testify, and we should expect no less from our police witnesses. I even developed a grid which was used for a few years so that we would summons officers on their day of work so that they wouldn't have to come in on their days off. that is not used. But last year, at the circuit court, we had 167 police officers who failed to appear. But at the district court, we had 3,175. Now, we have a process. I developed the liaison program because I was challenged to do that by now Governor O'Malley. And we set it up at the district and the circuit level. But we have a process, and when an officer does not show up, the liaisons attempt to get that officer into court. Judges are not going to let us have a postponement. They're going to make the case, us dismiss it. So in this particular case, everybody had been contacted. And the commanders, everyone who had direct supervisory power over this officer, and she did not come. Now, if I'm having civilian witnesses arrested and body attachments issued, and the judge demanded it, and my prosecutors went down the line to do exactly what they were supposed to do before the bench warrant was issued. We try very hard to make sure that when we're in court with these cases, because if this case, it was a gun case, if this case had been dismissed and this individual had committed a crime, then everybody was going to be saying it was the state's attorney's office because they dismissed the case. So we're working, I don't get out in the public and yell about FTAs, but I do try to work with the police department to reduce it. And the commissioner gets a copy of every FTA for every officer in every district. It has not improved.
Thank you.